Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? I'm doing good. I can't complain.
You avoided the sickness?
A little bit. I didn't get hit like everybody else, but I wasn't down for the count like they was, so I was good.
Have you ever seen it that bad in your locker room?
Yeah, not like that. It was, you almost had to walk around with hand sanitizer and watch everything you touched.
Bobby, this team's never won 7 road games in a single season before. What do you think about that opportunity, number one? And then, because of the chance to make history, does the first-class incentive apply to even a West Coast trip on the way home if you were to win this week?
I think that applies every trip, so it doesn't matter where we're going.
It applied in San Francisco also?
Everywhere.
Okay.
Anywhere is a first-class flight on the way back. It applies. But I don't think, as far as that, us winning 7 games on the road or whatever, I don't think we've thought about it like that. I think we've thought about just winning a game. It's I think it's important to be really good on the road because you might have to do that in the playoffs. So might have to do that, Super Bowl or whatever. So it's just, opportunities to be able to, kind of show what type of team you are. Because I like playing on the road sometimes because it's like, when at the end of the game, when our fans take over the stadium, it's pretty cool.
So why do you think you are better on the road this year than previous years?
I just think it shows how close of a group you are. When we go on the road, everybody's connected, everybody's together, and I think that's what makes a really good road team is the connection, the chemistry, especially from the defensive side because when the offense is up, it's so quiet, and so we're able to communicate a lot better. We're able to talk to one another a lot better, and you can only talk to other people if you have a chemistry with them.
It's been a couple of months since you last played the Rams. Which team looks more different than that first time around?
I don't know. I feel like the last time we played them, they ran a lot more 11 personnel, and I feel like this go around, there's potential chance they could be in a little bit more 12. I think they're handing the ball off to Gurley a lot more than they were the last time we played them, which I think it's in their team's benefit to give that guy the ball. So we just got to be ready for him and ready to stop him. He's fun to play against.
We saw Cody Barton on the field for a few snaps. What's the benefit in getting him reps with you guys, and what's the benefit to having somebody who can spell any of you guys for a few reps?
I think it's kind of similar to how myself and KJ came in, and we had guys like Sherm and Cam and those guys. I think it's always good when you're out there and you're a young guy. It's always good to have somebody who's have a little bit of experience to help you kind of slow the game down, kind of think and not make you rush. I feel like when you first start, you're just constantly trying to feel like you're trying to be perfect. You're trying to go fast. You're trying to make everything right, and the game doesn't have to be that fast. It can be slow. It can be simple. And, you just need guys with experience to remind you of that. So I think it definitely helps to have us out there communicate with him. He's a very smart player. We got a lot of trust with him, and it's going to be fun.
What's typically the hardest thing about playing on the road? I mean, is it just the travel and going through all that, or that you're just in you're in an unfamiliar stadium and the home team is maybe more familiar with it? Or?
It depends. If it's LA, if it's West Coast trip, it's not really that tough. East Coast is probably a little bit tougher because you're on the plane a little bit more. Your body has to get adjusted to the time a little bit. I think the difference is being in a visiting locker room where it seems like they make those a lot smaller than the other locker rooms, and so there's no space in there. So definitely have to be a close team to be that close to one another. But I think outside of that, it's just that. I think it's the road games kind of break your routine. You have a routine that you have at home that you can do. You know where everything's going to be at. But versus the road, you don't. You got to find food. You got to find where you're going to get this at, and so it just breaks your routine. So coming up with a good routine on the road definitely helps, and I feel like we've done that.
Is LA's the smallest
Road locker room, Coliseum.
I think so. I can't remember. There's a couple small ones. There's a couple, you put your arms out, you touch somebody. So.
Did you ever play in the Coliseum growing up?
I did not. I went to the Coliseum once. My one of my boys was being recruited by SC, so I got to go to a game with them. And other time was here playing in the league, so never got the opportunity until I got here.
Can you explain the one bus thing? Is it true this year you guys all leave together rather than one bus?
Yeah, so the one bus thing, on the road we typically have two buses. We had an early bus and a late bus, which is normally a later bus because the special team guys, those guys tend to go out earlier than everybody else. But the one bus thing was kind of just for everybody to be more connected. And so instead of separating the groups, having everybody come together, everybody preparing together, everybody coming out together. And, I feel like it speaks to that closeness, when you're around the guys so much, it kind of makes you learn who you're playing with and builds that camaraderie.
Whose idea was that?
I think it was a mix between Coach Carroll, myself, KJ, all the leadership, Russell, everybody. We just wanted to, because we had to do something a little bit different because, we had a lot of newer guys and it was a younger team, so it was hard to kind of educate everybody separately, so we got them together.
You players and coaches talk about this group being particularly close for a while now. When did you start to sense that about this team?
I felt it was definitely in OTAs, just the way guys were taking the time. For us, it was Coach Norton coming up with different ideas to, compete against each other. We created different teams to go against one another. And then, the winner of the team got to take that team out for dinner. And so doing dinners, doing different group activities, and everybody was showing up. There was nobody fighting on whether they could make it or not. Everybody would show up, and I felt like from that, starting that, and then growing as a team on the field, we just, got closer and closer.
After that Tampa Bay game, even though you guys won, it seemed like most of the defensive guys weren't too pleased. You, KJ, Jadeveon, everyone's saying defense really has to start playing better. Do you feel like that was a turning point for you guys, and why do you guys think you've been so productive on that side of the ball in the last 3 games?
I think that was definitely a game where you kind of felt like you won the game, but you didn't feel that way. And then when we had the 49ers game, we kind of felt like we looked at each other and we kind of said, like, that's the standard. That's where we need to play. That's where we're capable of playing. And that's where, if we want to get to where we're going, we have to play like that. And so I think everybody just made up their mind that that's how we're going to be, and that's the team, that's the defense we're going to be. And I feel like that's the product that you kind of see in these last few games is us just making the decision to be great and understanding what that looks like and what that is and what it's going to take to consistently be great.
Less to do with you figuring something out schematically and more just a collective mindset.
Yeah, I think it's, obviously you figure some things out, but I think at the end of the day you have to make the decision consciously that you want to be great. And so the scheme and all that stuff can help, but at the end of the day you got to look yourself in the mirror and saying, I want to get my job done.
Is there any common thread you can think of how 11 turnovers over the last 3 games have come together for you guys and why that's been something you guys have been able to hit so strongly the last few weeks?
I feel like it's the same thing. It's just, wanting to do our part, wanting to do something that changed the game in a positive way for our team and, really putting your mind towards it and really at practice being more conscious of it and trying to get the ball out, trying to punch the ball. We felt like it was helping the offense too, during the practice, us trying to get the ball. And so we felt like if we can get the ball, it was going to put our team in a good chance to win. And so I think we just became a little bit more mindful of it.
Did you meet Pete Carroll on that trip to the Coliseum with your buddy?
No, I met Pete Carroll. He came to my high school, but I was short. And he said he don't draft short linebackers.
So was it like a weird trip to the Coliseum? Like, man, these guys should be recruiting me?
No, I just thought it was cool to be in the Coliseum. You saw it on TV, and I was just getting into football, so I just thought it was cool to be in a stadium. I think that was my first time being in a stadium like that, and so it was cool. I definitely let him know about it when they took me, that he could have got me a long time ago.
Did he actually tell you were too short, like to your face?
No, he didn't say that. He's a nice guy. I assumed.
Since you mentioned it, I know you're a reader. Good to Great. Have you read Jim Collins' book, The Good to Great?
I haven't. I have not read it. I have not read it. That's the red book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read it. I'm on The Game of Life and How to Play It. I forgot who's the author.
Bobby, you were recently recognized by Forbes the 30 under 30 list. How does this honor feel different than anything else that you've had so far, like a Pro Bowl nod or Super Bowl champion? Does it feel different for you?
A little bit, because I feel like it was something that I wanted to do off the field. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I wanted to be on the Forbes magazine. And so it's not the cover, but I'm getting close. I'm in the pages, so now I just got to work my way up to the front. But no, it was cool, 'cause I think it's, I've really tried to focus on not just being a good football player, but just being a good all-around person. And, I've mentioned it multiple times, wanting to make the transition from this game, hopefully 10, 15 years from now, an easy one. And so I worked very hard, off season to try to be smarter and be more aware. And so it was cool that they recognized that.
Bobby, you've talked a lot about, and in that video for the 30 for 30, the Forbes 30 thing, you were, emphasizing the players need to take control of their situation. Like, why has that always kind of been so important to you, or when did that kind of really become a big thing for you?
I think it started when I got to the league, because I remember going to the rookie symposium. And I remember spending 3 days, I don't know where we were at, I think we were in Ohio, I can't remember. But we were 3 days out there, and it was basically telling us, don't trust your agent, don't trust your financial advisor, don't trust your family, don't trust your coaches and the GM. And so by the end of the day, they asked, all right, does anybody have any questions? And I remember, I forgot what the guy's name was, but I know he's from Stanford. And he stood up and he said, so what's good about the league? Because all we know is, you can't trust nobody. And so you get to the league and they tell you you're only going to last maybe 3 years if you're lucky. And after that, 80% of the players go broke and they'll divorce. And I'm like, well, that's not really good stats either. And so I'm like, man, this is a lot of stacked against you. And so you try to start to figure out, okay, how do I be that 20%? Like, what are those guys doing that still are with their woman, still are financially stable, are able to make it past the 3 years? And you try to figure out, what did they do? And I felt like in studying and figuring out, the football stuff is obvious. The guys that worked hard, the guys that showed up early, the guys that were consistent, that were mindful in what that they were doing, were the guys that made it. But as far as the financial side and the stuff off the field, it was who was going to take the time to learn money. Because I felt like, a lot of guys come from different situations, but you don't have money and then you get a lot of money. I remember the first time I got the taxes taken out, I thought somebody robbed me. And so I thought the Seahawks had took me, what I'm saying? So I'm getting ready to go up to the third floor and figure out where the rest of his money at. And so it's just, you don't understand and you don't know. And so the only way to do that is taking the time to learn. And I feel like, we're taught to, when we get this money, to give it to the financial advisor. Well, you're never really going to learn about the money if you just give it away. And you don't know nothing about a contract because we just put our trust into the agents and not have them take us through everything. And so if you're going to spend so much time being in this business, you might as well spend some time learning every aspect of it. And so I tried to learn every aspect from the moment I got here, and just pay attention to the guys that did well and guys that didn't do so well, and try to be the 20%.
How'd you do it? Did you self-help books or?
Honestly, it's awareness. Honestly, I feel like there's a lot of good guys out there, and there's a lot of bad ones out there too. So, everybody has habits. So you look at the 80% and what are their habits, and you look at the 20% and what are their habits, and you try to make your habits mimic or better than that 20%. And I spend every offseason trying to learn something new, whether it's business, whether it's, I try to learn a different language. Spanish is still kind of not my strong suit. But I could tell you got a big head in Spanish. Tu la cabeza es muy grande. I hope I said that right. So it's, I feel like football is a great sport where, we work from, we work about 6 months and we got about 6 months off. And, unless you the Hulk, you're going to work out maybe at max 4 or 5 hours, if that. And you have 20 plus hours to do something else, to learn something else, to master something else. And I do that. Every offseason I try to master something. I do internships, I read a lot, study, try to expose myself to as much as I can, so when I'm done, it's not new.
Anything else?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.